Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lie.
Welcome to Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Join Carl alongside frequent co-hosts Lisa Otey and Hollis Lewis as they explore dynamic conversations with guests from all walks of life. Let's Talk is proudly brought to you by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. Visit frankwalkerlaw.com. The conversation starts now. This is Let's Talk.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee, and I have in studio Lisa Otey, the Queen.
Hello.
And I have Hollis Lewis, who couldn't make it to the studio, and he's on the line today. So, do we have you there, Hollis? All right, we got him.
He's out there making things happen.
All right. In most cases, I usually like somebody to start off on some kind of a story or a topic that they have. I don't know if this is fortunate or unfortunate, but I am this Butler thing.
This Butler thing. Did you hear that, Hollis? The way you put that.
We're talking about Jimmy
Butler.
I think he
Jimmy
is.
Butler. Yes,
our man.
And I will let you two say whatever you want to say after I kind of dig into this. And here's my issue. My first question is, okay, so he's 14 years in, 4 teams. Okay?
Right.
With that being said, I'm going to ask the question, or I'm going to make a statement. He's not Kobe Bryant. Nowhere remotely close. He's not MJ, not even remotely close. Okay? So wherever he ranks into where basketball is today, he is nowhere of somebody who I'm going to sit around and think about after they retire. Like, he may go into the Hall of Fame. He may do all those kind of things. But he's not going to be the guy who people are going to be like, oh, yeah, man, Jimmy Butler. I just don't see that.
You don't think he's the face of the NBA, is what you're saying.
Nowhere
Okay.
even close. He could be great.
Right.
And just to provide context, he got suspended because he suspended indefinitely for walking out of a practice or a shoot around because he wasn't going to start the game. And outside of that, he's been going through various contract disputes and once out of Miami. So
And
that's sort of a
right,
backstory.
Yes. And and part of that too is not being at practice, coming to practice late, because
It's been a pattern of behavior that led up to the suspension. In fact, didn't he have a suspension and then got suspended again?
yes,
From the way I understand it?
so.
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. My question, or I'm not even going to pose this as a question. I'm going to state this. To me, this is where new athletes, not every new athlete, but the talented athlete who's not top tier, but he's somebody that you might know and has great stats and all that kind of stuff, but he's not Michael Jordan. He's not Kobe Bryant. What makes him think that the fact that we're talking about him, he should be bothered by that? Because we're not talking about his game. We're talking about his actions.
Right. His
And
behavior.
to me, that behavior that conduct, that what he tries to show toward at the end of everywhere he's gone, to me, he thinks he's way better than the game. He thinks he's more important than the game, and what he deserves and what he gets, that should come automatically because he deserves it. And I'm saying, no, you do not.
Hollis?
Well, I think it's one of those things where I don't know, as far as the legacy is concerned, that he is concerned about how he's portrayed in this limited, in this scenario. And unfortunately, I think that, this is sort of the modus operandi of how athletes are, they're not beholden to a team. They don't care about that. If they want to leave, it's time to go. Particularly in basketball, they're saying, hey, you should let me out. I should be able to go, and I should be able to negotiate the terms that I want to leave. In fact, I want to go to this team. So that's a lot of basketball players have moved, kind of in the LeBron era. And to your point, I mean, he's definitely not those guys, but he is, a good player in this generation. So it's not something that's going to necessarily, I don't think it hurts his legacy, but it doesn't help it neither.
Well, let me respond to that real quick. Okay, but now LeBron jumps around. I didn't say anything about where you play, right? I don't care if you want to go play somewhere else and you want to negotiate all that kind of stuff. My question or my concern is you go through all that and then you're going to show up to practice late. You're going to leave practice because you're mad at something didn't go your way.
But again, right. I think I would agree with you in that this definitely is not professional. But at the same time, again, particularly in basketball, NBA basketball, it just seems like this is how those guys move. If you're not willing to concede to the things that they want, the demands, trade, so on and so forth, that they feel like, hey, trade me now. I shouldn't have to wait. I'm ready to go now. I have the power. I have the leverage, which in this case, I don't know if that's true with him because I don't know.
Well, he was eligible for an extension that the Heat did not grant so far. So I think that's been on the table for some time. Is that correct, guys?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so he's a little upset about that. But I will say this, and this is kind of a side note to what we're talking about with his behavior and his suspensions. But he recently, and I think it was even maybe today, he made a video with he and his friends, and he was making this joking video of where he's making a purchase from a cashier, let's just say wherever, some type of merchant, and his card is declined. And so the guy says, "Oh, you're currently unemployed, so your card doesn't work here, sir." And they all laughed and joked. Well, this was I found this on like a Miami Heat like media site, and I will tell you this: the fans were not amused. The comments that I read were just like, can't wait until it's somebody else's problem. You're making $45 million a year. This is drawn out too long. This isn't funny. So. Obviously, it's time for them to part ways. He needs to get out of Miami yesterday. The fans need to, find some closure, and whatever happens, wish him well. But definitely, he's not going to be welcome there, regardless of whether he wants to stay or not.
As a former professional athlete, and putting professional athletes all in kind of one lane, okay,
right?
There's a reality in your mind of how good you were. Even while you're playing, how good you are in that moment.
Right.
And as great as I wanted to think I was, and we got a game on Sunday, and let's say we're playing the Washington Redskins, and there's Darryl Green going to be coming, and we're going to play the Redskins, and he's going to be that corner.
Sure.
It's not hard for me to watch him because I'm like thinking, man, he's even better than me. I'm not trying to downplay me, but if he's not acting a certain kind of way,
right?
How can I? If Kobe didn't do that,
yeah.
If I mean,
is it?
It's not possible. It's not. I know he doesn't think anything about any of that. He's about him, which is the problem in the game. That no professional sport that is a team sport, are you the man from a standpoint of it's a team sport, dude. Like you can't go beat 5 other players. You can't get out there by yourself and beat 5 other players.
And to your point, this doesn't help the NBA's cause.
No.
We already know viewership is way down, and so when you've got guys, pulling these shenanigans on social media and, making light. I mean, the guy makes millions of dollars and he's pretending like his card's declined. I mean, in this day and age, that's probably not something to joke about.
No.
I mean, it's
because you can easily take that personal.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but I also think, again, just to play devil's advocate, I mean, the NBA created this, and NBA players, unfortunately, have the leverage because I could argue that you could place Jimmy Butler right now because I think that what he wants to go to, and I think the landing spot is Phoenix, and he'll be playing with Kevin Durant. So if you take a guy like Jimmy Butler and you take him to Phoenix or the Lakers or Golden State or maybe Chicago or the Knicks, if you take a guy like him, they could possibly position themselves for a championship. And again, the NBA, unlike other sports, all it takes maybe is that one guy to move, and you can, put yourself in a championship position. So they, unfortunately or fortunately, however you view it, they have the leverage at this point, and they're exercising that leverage. And to their point, hey, I got the money. I could get fined. I could get suspended. It doesn't matter because another team is going to pick him up. It's not as though this hurts him.
But let me challenge you on this. Okay, the concept of LeBron and him winning a championship. Now, if he's not a dominant player, okay, then there isn't a dominant player right now. But he is learning and has learned that you can't just be the only dude on the team and win a championship. You're not going to win a championship with just one guy anymore. That's not happening.
You have to have a supporting cast and chemistry.
Go back and look at Chicago. It wasn't just MJ.
Right.
They had some actual dudes. Scottie Pippen could play. He is not the guy. And even to your point, Hollis, even if I would agree to say that you can win with one guy, he ain't the guy.
I'm not saying. Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying. But
the guy. I think what he's in.
I think he realizes he's not the guy.
No, I don't. I think he thinks he is.
But I think he realizes with another guy. If I'm teamed up with LeBron, if I'm teamed up with Steph, if I'm teamed up with Kevin Durant, I think he realizes that, and that's because, again, you're not asking to go to Phoenix and play with Kevin Durant if you think you're the guy. You're not going to be the guy with him. You're going to be, Robin to his Batman. You know what I mean?
Well, and here's the other thing. When do we say, as a team, as an NBA team like the Phoenix Suns, when do they say, we don't need this toxic person in our locker room? We don't need this guy making, he thinks funny videos on social media that kind of, makes fun of people without money and their cards getting declined. When does a team stand up and say, we don't need that? I mean, sometimes you can back yourself into a corner. Do you not agree with your behaviors like that?
I think you're right to a degree, but I also think they're saying, hey, this guy, and I think you stated at the onset, a coach, that, hell, he's 14 years in. So it ain't like he's going to be there for another 10 or 15 years. We're going to have this guy for, a year to maybe 3 years max. So if we can keep him for anywhere from 1 to 3 years, possibly win a championship, possibly get to a championship, hey, we'll deal with the consequences thereafter. So I don't think teams are looking at these guys, a guy like Jimmy Butler, and I don't want to say he's a journeyman, but
I would go there.
You could say that.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think he's a little above that far as talent and what he's been able to do, particularly in places like Chicago and in Miami. But he's not a Steph Curry. He's not the Greek Freak. He's not LeBron. He's not on that level. So, hey, I can deal with him, and if it gets too bad, I'll get out the contract.
I'm not going to risk the chemistry of what I have to bring him in, because there has to be somebody as talented as him who doesn't have, because I already know, I've seen everywhere he's gone, there's an issue. There's something that he said, something he's done, something that I don't like. Everywhere he's gone, and here he is now still doing the same exact thing. And I agree with you, Hollis, that I think he'll end up somewhere. I don't think the NBA will not, somebody won't grab him. But my reason of wanting to hit this subject was because this is something that this behavior, this kind of stuff is totally new in professional sports. not total, and I don't mean brand new, but it's new. There's always been players who thought they were good. In most cases, though, they had that. They actually did have that.
Right.
They didn't say it.
They could back it up.
Yeah, they could back it up. when if LT Lawrence Taylor starts talking, if he started talking some smack about like he deserves this amount of money in a contract, or he's not coming to training camp, everybody is looking at that and they're buying that because he's potentially the best linebacker to have played the game.
Right.
Jimmy Butler? What do you say about him when he's done? He's me. As far as I'm concerned, he's me, dude. You played some time and you did great, but you're not on that. You're not on Kobe Bryant's level. You just don't get it.
But didn't the Heat kind of create this monster? I would go with that. They allowed a lot of things special for him, which I understand if this is the guy, this is your market man, and he's making the money and he's bringing in the fans. I get it. They do get special accommodations compared to the other, team members. But to a degree, there's got to be some resentment when the guy gets to fly on his private jet and he's allowed to skip on, practices or be late, and there's no ramifications when there are ramifications for them. So to me, there maybe I'm totally off base on this, but to me, I feel like there may be some sighs of relief from that team when they realize that he's moving on. I don't know,
and I think that to your point, the problem that we had with Herschel Walker was the actual reality of what special things that they did for him to get him.
Right.
Okay. And not just that, but the players that we had to give up to solidify the trades. Right.
Sure.
And then he could never blend in because one, like you just can't come in and the idea was he was so great. He's the guy that's going to take us to the mountain.
Take us there.
Well, we're sitting there, we're looking at him and trying to figure out, like in practice, we're trying to figure out like, well, he's no better than some of the guys that we lost.
Sure.
We need those guys compared to him. We can get a running back.
Right.
So I kind of feel like and again, I think he felt special, but he could never fit in Minnesota because
that doesn't happen.
It just doesn't happen because that was something totally new. And I'm going to make the case that while these guys will hang out with him, maybe speak to him, maybe all of that, they don't like it. They don't like it.
I would argue. And again, I think that's. I don't know if I would make that comparison. I don't know no team I don't think any team in the NBA that would possibly land Jimmy Butler would think, oh, he's going to be the savior. He's going to bring us to the promised land. I think any team that lands him, they realize that he's just a piece.
I'll say this, Hollis. I'll say this to you. Yes, if you come in and be part, but if you start saying all this crazy stuff and you start doing all this crazy stuff, I'm not
talking about. I'm not necessarily talking.
But that's what he's. But my comparison is Herschel just didn't have what everybody thought he had at the professional level to take a team that was already close enough. My problem with Butler is he thinks it is about him. And it's not going to be you. And you said it earlier. You said if he gets somebody else. I don't think he does.
You're not going to go play with Kevin Durant if you don't realize that. You have to realize if you're going to go play with Kevin Durant in Phoenix, that you're not going to be the number one option here. And that's just what it is. You are going to be a piece of a building block to them getting to a championship. Because you just don't. If that's the case, then you stay in Miami where you already are.
No, he can't stay in Miami. He done burned that bridge. He burned that bridge.
Yeah.
But listen, so I agree with what you're saying, but what if he walks in to this locker room and expects the same treatment that he got at with the Heat?
And why is he not going to do that?
Do you think he's going to change his whole mindset because he changed teams?
Different. I think what he's doing now, he's acting out because he wants to leave. Jimmy Butler, that's his mode of operandi. He does good for a while, as far as that, and then when he gets antsy or when things aren't working out, then he wants to go. Like I said, I think he's going to last 2 or 3 seasons there, maybe 3,
if he
4.
behaves.
And that's what it is. If that, he's 14 years in at that.
Right.
And it's not like he's not that. I mean, he's a. I'm not calling him a second-rate player, but he's not
He's
on
average.
that superstar
In
player.
the
I'm saying
NBA.
he's above average. I don't call him that. He's
Right.
a really, really good NBA player.
Right.
But he's not, LeBron. He's not Durant. But while
Okay.
we're talking about the NBA, Adam Silver, he has said over the last couple of months, because, and Lisa, you mentioned it about the falling ratings in the NBA
Yes.
over particularly the last 12 years and the rule changes. And I read today that one of the rule changes that he is proposing is to drop the quarters from 12 minutes to 10 minutes. So instead of 12-minute quarters, there would be 10-minute quarters.
Well-
And basically the justification that he gave with that, it would align with, timing of basketball around the world to get the games down to 2 minutes. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? And what other rules changes do you think would help, get the NBA's rating back up?
So they play 4 quarters in NBA, correct? So the
4 quarters, 12-minute quarters.
Okay, but they'll go down to 10, basically. Is that what you're saying?
That's
So the
proposed.
fans lose 8 minutes of viewing time.
Yeah.
They get less. They
I
get
don't
less
think so.
viewing
See,
for the money.
But see, but
No, you don't think so?
I'm right where Lisa
don't
is,
know
because
about
here's
that.
the other thing.
Nope.
Let's just say, okay, it cost me $25 to get in for
25
for 12
cheap seats.
for
You're in the cheap seats,
for
Carl.
a 12-minute game, for
You're
a 12-quarter
nosebleed.
game. For a 12-quarter game. I'm just using a number. Now you're going to cut me down to 10 minutes, and you're going to still charge me the same
amount of money. Exactly.
No,
But
as a
you're
fan,
looking
I'm
at
not
it
going for that.
You're looking at it from a wonderful, but what I'm saying is what you get. And I think that if you got a 10-minute quarter, so that way you got a 40-minute game, I think you get a more intense game. Remember, the college basketball is basically a 10-minute quarter game. And I think that if you go to that, the NBA, you can get a more intense game. And I'll sacrifice those minutes for a better intensity, because that way, right now, you don't got time to dilly-dally. You got to get to it because it's coming up fast. Because you'll be surprised. Like losing 2 minutes in basketball is like losing 5 or 6 in football. 2 minutes in basketball is forever. So I think you'll get
That's
a better
interesting.
game.
Well, I mean that's a good point. I'm not sure, but I mean I think that's a good theory. Now whether that plays out or not, that's another story. But I do think the fans would view it as losing time and spending the same amount of money for. I mean I don't know if that's the right move. It could be.
Because we've mentioned like not just us, but I think fans they've mentioned like cutting down the season because generally like
Well,
what
not
the season
that.
is 8.
Yeah,
I
would go.
problem with
I
that.
would say
It's too long.
That's where I would go. I would cut the season. I would cut down the games. Leave the time on the clock. Because when I pay for that, I want to get as much. I don't
you're
care
at
what
the
you as
game.
the player want.
Right.
I want as much of the game as I can get.
Yep.
Okay.
I want a better game. You can. I don't care about if you're just playing longer. Great.
Well, here's
I
the
want a
problem
better
with here's
game.
how
I
you
want
get
more
a here's how you get a better game. You have less games.
Yeah.
Because you have less games
And they matter more.
and they all matter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like I said, I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but I think realistically they're not going to do that, obviously, because of the ticket sales. But I think this is the happy medium. I think if you cut the games down, and I think you can get more intensity within the games that have already been played because you don't have, you know what I'm saying, you're losing 8 minutes, you're losing almost a quarter.
But that's coming from an educated fan. When you talk about the layman fan that's taking little Johnny to see, whoever play in the NBA, you want as much time as possible.
Or let's do better than that. Let's don't go to little Johnny. Let's go to the owners. Let's go to the people who are
that's
making
true.
the money.
Right.
Because we want people in the seats. And we got people in the seats for X number of games. I'm not giving that up. I don't want to give that up.
Mm-hmm. So we'll just cut time off the clock.
I would rather give up minutes in games. I'd rather sacrifice some minutes within the game.
If I'm a player, take the games away because that allows me to play more. If I'm a fan, I probably don't want either one, to be honest.
That's true.
Because if I can't watch that game, you know what I say to myself? I'll watch it next week or in a couple days. There's another one on next day.
That's true.
A couple days
because there's so many.
So
and it's just overload. I mean, they start in what decided October maybe.
At October, preseason stuff like that.
And the finals end in June, right? The first week of June. Yeah, I mean that's almost year round. That's crazy.
You're already back. You're just about ready to start football.
Right.
By the time they finish up. It's
and
just
people
too
get
much.
tired of it. I mean, it's just a lot. And then they have to compete with when college basketball gets exciting in March. You know, that kind of drops off their viewership, I'm sure. People would rather watch the college, collegiate tournament. But I don't know. I think it's a good try. I mean, it's a good start anyway.
Okay, what else would you try? I mean,
I would cut games.
What's that?
Cut games.
Yeah, I'm with
before
that.
minutes.
I'm saying, but besides that, they're not going to. So what do you do? Because they're not cutting games. We know that they're not going to do that. So if you're not going to cut games, what else do you do if you're the NBA to spike viewership?
Yeah, I think the time thing is a good start, like I said, and see how it goes. It may make things better. I think they have to try something. They have to do something, and I think that's a good place to start. But if that doesn't work, then they have to look at cutting back the season, in my opinion.
See, I'm and Coach Lee gonna like this. I think you start, and again, I think you start with what the NFL did. I think you do because the NFL, when they were having problems with concussions, everything like that, they actually went back to youth. They started the Heads Up program, started to educate the coaches and everything like that in order to improve tackling at the midget league level or the little league level. So I think basketball needs to go back and do that and start to educate coaches and actually bring back position basketball. So right now, because it sounded nice when you have positionless basketball. So when you have a 7-footer who can, shoot and do all the things and dribble and all that. But I think what happens is it sort of blends the game out where everybody's doing the same thing. So I think you need more Shaqs, right? You need more Allen Iverson. You need those dynamic players who look drastically different that can do different things within the game, because the game is almost like one note. It's like eating the same food every day, and it's the same thing every day. It's no variety, no change. So I think you started I think that you need to invest in Little League bitty basketball and bring back position basketball.
See, and I think, and we've got to take a quick break here, but here's the problem that I think that when you talk about position basketball, because I buy it, but you're not going to get, there. Unfortunately, there is a 6'6" point guard. He's been doing that forever, and now you're going to try to make him a forward. That's going to be, he's got to go
problematic.
Down. Yeah, that's a problem. And I just don't know these guys that are 6'5", 6'6", handle the ball, pass it, shoot threes, all of that kind of stuff. They're not going to put their back to the basket. But they can make a move, and I'm not saying that
when you teach it when they're 5 and 6 years old, maybe they'll be accustomed to it. And I think if you bring back a philosophy of traditional American basketball,
only if you don't see it.
Make the game.
Only if you don't see it. If you're a tall kid and you're middle school and you're watching basketball and you see a guy who's 6'5" that let's just say it was when Magic was there. You didn't have all those people there wasn't everybody. Everybody didn't have a Magic. But you see that guy, and all of a sudden, everybody starts wanting to be that guy.
Right.
That's true. I mean, you're right about that.
So
I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a tough thing, because once you see the guy that's that tall, what do you want to do? You want to be that guy, especially if you're that tall. Now, if you're 4 foot shorter than that person, you're not, you want to be the guard. That's the only thing that you can be. And that, unfortunately, that's a bad thing. And I say this all the time, especially when you start talking about football. Football is about metrics. It's about the metrics. You got to be this, your arm span's got to be that. Your speed's got to be that. Everything is about the metrics, even to get a chance.
But football's also about position.
Yes, it is.
The great thing about football is that this guy plays this position. That guy plays that position. And that's why people love it, because it's locked in. We know what these guys do. In basketball, everybody's doing everything.
They do change some guys, but I agree with you that in most cases.
We're talking about 2 or 3 guys on a
yes,
team.
I give you that. I'm not trying to change it.
Football
I'm with
is
you.
Position.
Yes, I give you that.
That's why, again, it's locked in. We know what everybody's doing.
All right, well, we need to take a quick break, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back.
Let's face it, bad things happen to good people. Seriously injured in a car accident, trucking accident, or even wrongfully arrested. Life happens, and when it happens to you, you will need sound legal advice and aggressive representation. That's when you call attorney Frank Walker at 304-413-0179. That's 304-413-0179. Lock it in your phone, text it to a friend. 304-413-0179. Or visit online at attorneyfrankwalker.com.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Visit frankwalkerlaw.com. Share your thoughts, ask questions, or suggest topics on our Facebook page. Just search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. And don't forget to like the page to join the conversation. Catch past episodes anytime at WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk. And tune in Thursday nights at 7 or Sunday evenings at 8 for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Now, back to the conversation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've fought enough on.
Let's move on to a new fight.
What
a new battle.
What's the new battle you got over there, Lisa? Do you have it, or does Hollis have it?
Oh, well, I just wanted to just throw out there a little bit, maybe have a little discussion about the AFC and NFC championships that took place this past weekend. Maybe start with the NFC championship, which would be the Eagles versus the Commanders, and of course the Eagles won that pretty handily.
Yes.
55-23. Most people know that. There were some interesting things that I came across when I was doing some research about some of the past history of the AFC game the NFC game, and then what occurred on Sunday. And one of the things was that, if you're going to be successful in these championship games at the end of the season, the one thing you have to do is protect the ball. You have to protect the ball. That is just historically, there's statistics out there. If you don't do it, it's not going to be a good day for you. And obviously it wasn't a good day for the Commanders. They just could not hold on to the ball. And they lost the 3 fumbles, and consequently the Eagles scored 21 points off those turnovers. So right there was part of their demise. The other part of their demise, of course, was Saquon Barkley.
Right.
But that was the biggest problem. They couldn't overcome their own mistakes. What do you guys think?
All right, I'm going to first, I think that's absolutely factual.
Yes, it is factual.
Yes, and when you start talking about turning over the ball, you just can't do you can't do it, especially playoff time. You shouldn't do it any time, but playoff time, the teams are too good. They're going to take advantage of it.
Right.
Now, when you start talking about Saquon Barkley, I contribute that situation to years of throwing the ball. Like we went through this era of everybody's throwing the ball and you don't really run it very much.
Right.
And all of a sudden you get a pretty decent sized guy who loves to run the ball and does not mind running at
and does
you
well.
Does well. You're not used to that. Just as let's just take as a defensive back. You're so caught up in coverage.
Right.
And nobody's running the ball 30 times a game.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, this team shows up, and I keep trying to figure out, why am I making tackles? Now I'm mad because, like, where's the linemen? Where are the backers? Hey man, y'all need to make those tackles. I don't know that shouldn't be getting to me. When you it's going to be hard for anybody.
Especially when Jalen Hurts has a good game as well.
Yes.
And they both were on point Sunday. If both of them are on point, it's going to be hard to beat them.
You got a run game that we've got to work on, that's new for us.
Right.
We got to focus on the run game. just the sweep, the dives, all of that. And now every single time that they go to pass, you got an issue with the quarterback that can run just as well as your running back.
As pass, right?
So now you got a double threat, even if they don't throw the ball well. They still got a double threat that you have to stop. How do you do that?
Yeah, Hollis, how do they do it?
I was going to say the exact same thing, because what happens now is that defensively, not only do you have to account for Jalen Hurts passing the ball, but he's a legitimate run threat.
Exactly.
And then when you have dynamic running back like Saquon Barkley, it just it puts your defense in peril, because again, you can't go one-on-one. And again, don't leave the receivers out. You can't go one-on-one with Brown. You can't go one-on-one with those, because they're going to beat you every single time. So it's not like you can man up and crowd the box and then try to stop the run. So now you still got to sort of spread yourself out defensively. Some of those linebackers have got to account for Jalen Hurts. And then, again, Saquon Barkley can run through you, around you, and over you. So that is just it creates a difficult situation. And I'll say this. I don't know how Saquon Barkley did not get consideration for the NFL MVP. He is, and I'm going to say it right now, he is the NFL MVP. I don't care what Lamar Jackson did. I don't care what Josh Allen did. I don't care about the stats. I don't care about this being a quarterback award. Saquon Barkley, in my mind, if I had a vote, he's the NFL MVP. He took this team over the hump. I mean, most people consider his career dead with the Giants last year, and he come in almost a 2,000-yard rusher, and he's been dominant. Not good in the playoffs. He's been dominant in the playoffs.
And I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
With a but, and it's not my but the systematically, we as the league, we see this, but man, we're quarterback oriented now. We basically think that we are, it's quarterback. It's the quarterback.
It's sexy. Yeah, it's sexy to the fans.
Yes. The quarterback is the sexiest guy on the field.
Right.
And so until they can, and again, you got to realize this run game, while it is beating people down, and he's getting his yards, he's running over people, he's scoring touchdowns.
You hear more about Jalen Hurts than you do him.
Why would we even be talking about Hurts?
I disagree. Like I said, I think we have to, again, we have sports, like, I think we're sports media at this point. It still feels weird to say.
Right.
But sports media, reporters, writers, like, they got to start reporting on the game. But I understand it's sexy. But again, Saquon Barkley, to me, was the best story in the NFL this year. He was the best story. Because, we'll get to the Chiefs. Nobody likes him. We don't care about Patrick Mahomes. He's great and all that. But we don't support the team there. Lamar Jackson was great. He's been great every year. Josh Allen was great. He's been great every year. Saquon Barkley was the story this year. And what he's doing, the moves that he's doing, the one he's leaping over people backwards, and he's just been so dominant. He definitely, in my mind, should have got MVP. And again, and I would say, man, the running back position is back. It's back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But with the caveat, and I'll give you a props, Coach, and we'll talk about it when we get to the other side of this, you got to have a running quarterback now.
Oh, absolutely.
I have a choice.
I've said that. I have said that for a while. If you do not have a running quarterback, you better have an awesome running back then.
Yeah. Like
or a quarterback who could just swing it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm gonna totally agree with you, Hollis. I don't even understand how he could be overlooked, because let's just consider this. He's on the cusp of history. If he gains just 30 yards in the Super Bowl, he sets the all-time record for the most rushing yards in a season, including playoff games.
That's special.
Yes, that's special.
That's special.
It's the record's currently held by Terrell Davis. But he could beat that with just 30 yards. And let's face it, he probably will get 30 yards.
He'll have that in the first quarter.
And then some, I would think. So, yeah, I agree. I don't know what happened there. The only thing I can think about is maybe, like I said, fans want to see quarterbacks in that. Yeah.
You come to the games to see quarterbacks throw the ball, complete the pass, scramble and run a little bit. And if your team wins, who do we say? We go right to the quarterback. We go right to the quarterback.
We know that, but I don't know.
I agree.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right, but
I'm looking, for me, I think the reality of watching, and let's think about who's watching now. We've watched it when we remember quarterbacks and running backs,
the heroes.
All that anybody could have been the best player, the all-time guy or whatever. We remember when football was diverse in who could score, who could have the ball in their hands at a specific time. Now, the fan base is in love
with quarterbacks. I agree.
And now, you get Philly. Now they're loving their running back. Who else? What other team in the playoffs can we say that we should be talking about their running back?
No, none of them.
I mean,
and I'm not saying they weren't good. And I don't mean that literally.
It was all the chatter was about the quarterbacks.
Yes,
really.
The conversation was about the quarterbacks and whether or not Patrick Mahomes led that. But there were so many named quarterbacks that were out here that everybody it was perfect in my mind for the NFL.
Perfect storm.
Yes, perfect. We got all these quarterbacks all in the playoffs, winning and losing. Oh gosh, this is going to be so great. And when you look at it, you got a running back that has shown the whole entire playoffs, to me, has been the best player.
He is.
In the playoffs.
Hands down.
Yeah. All right. So now, so we got to go to the other side
Let's go. Okay, so we're going to the the AFC Championship. We've got the Chiefs and the Bills. That one was a little more competitive, a little closer. And, of course, Mahomes, the magician, pulled it off again. Throwing 18 of 26 for 245 yards and a touchdown. And, of course, the winning drive he was instrumental in the fourth quarter. So the Bills, they forgot their rushing attack. They were stopped constantly in short yard situations. Josh Allen had, I think, in 5 different times they were in short yardage. He just had to gain a couple yards, and he was only 2 of 5. And, of course, we had to have a controversial call by the refs. So let's just, what do you, Hollis, you want to describe it, or do you want me to describe it and you guys comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll just give a quick overview of that. So it was fourth quarter, fourth down. Josh Allen was at the 41-yard line of Kansas City. He only had to gain 1 yard, fourth down, and he appeared to make it. We had, of course, that was according to the commentators that were, calling the game. It was also according to the ref guy that they call all the time. His name's escaped me. But anyway, so one ref comes from the sideline signaling that it was a first down. And then the other ref comes over and marks him short. And the guy that marks him short, that's the call.
And here was the interesting thing to me on that. And Hollis, I'm wondering what you think. The reality of visibly being able to see, and I don't know who was able to see.
There's so many angles.
Yeah, there's so many angles.
Now.
So
I mean, it's
we're sitting across the table from each other. So you're coming in looking to see where the ball, and all these bodies are laying there.
Right.
So you're trying to mark it, but you're coming off from the line of scrimmage. Basically, really, you're coming from the line of scrimmage. So maybe you step over a half an inch and walk in, and you're walking in. And everybody's saying that that was a spot of the ball.
Right.
The other guy, the other official on the other side, he is stepped up. He's moved over a step, so he's made it. He's already marking the ball,
right,
as it's a first down because he's seeing the back of.
Sure.
He can see the shoulder pads. He's seeing all that. He's got the better view. So my thing in that situation, I think there has to be some form of review.
Absolutely.
That's because I don't even know if you can really see film wise. Like I don't know if the cameras. I don't know if there's a camera angle that would even fit that.
Well,
but I'm going to say this:
videos that people that are out there on social media that it definitely looks like he had a first down.
I thought he had
My
it.
thing is this. Like, it's okay for those referees to take a minute just to confer with one another to figure it out. I don't know why we just have to rush that to spot the ball, because it's clearly, you look on the video, one guy had the better view than the other guy, and the other guy who didn't have the best view seemed to make the call. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
You obviously had a back judge, and you had the two sideline judges. Why not you come together, huddle up for a couple of seconds, and figure it out and make it right? Why
don't they do that? Is there a rule against that?
I did think that they talked. But again,
wasn't long.
It wasn't long. But you know what I'm saying? It's like if me and Hollis is having this conversation, if we're talking, if I'm like more likely, maybe I have less years than Hollis, and he's saying, hey, I really think that, they didn't make it.
You just kind of,
this is a huge call.
Yeah,
I realize the moment and how big a call this is. I think somebody concedes to
but
the
why
choice.
Is it always the Chiefs?
See,
they always get the calls.
But even with that being said, it's one of those situations where you just can't make mistakes with this team. If you're playing the Chiefs and this is moving forward, you can't make mistakes. You have to take advantage of every single thing. You can't throw picks. You can't have turnovers and downs. You have to almost score on every drive, and you have to figure out a way to at least stop them a few times. They started out the game pretty strong, but after that, they couldn't really keep up.
You're right.
It's just you when you're playing the Chiefs, you can't make mistakes, unfortunately.
And Hollis, that's
either McHomeboy gonna get you or the ref's gonna get you.
That's exactly.
Yes. Hollis, and here's that is the actual reality. And how many times in your football career, maybe even playing basketball, baseball, whatever you played, like they'll say you can't give them any opportunities. You can't leave it in the hands of the officials.
Officials, right?
Because they're making the best call that they can. I don't think any one of those officials were for anybody. Now, the call that they made is going to go to somebody. It's going to go one side, so I'm going to automatically, well, Lisa made the call that way. She's got to be for that team. She's probably got a whole bunch of Packers stuff at home.
Oh, but it's not the first time that this has happened with the Chiefs. It just continually happens throughout the season, and people start to notice because of that pattern, and that's why people are pretty upset about it, and a lot of people are just upset about the Super Bowl matchup in general. I mean, I'm hearing people say boycott it, don't watch it, NFL's rigged, which we hear that anyway. We hear that. Oh, yeah, it's out there. They're out there. Those conspiracy theorists are out there.
I can tell you this.
A lot of it's just bitter fans, but still.
If there was a way to rig a football game, do you understand the number of people that you would have to include into that mix?
I totally agree with you. I'm just repeating what I've read, which is unfortunate. But I think the whole scenario when you get these types of fans on social media or the internet saying it's rigged, whatever, they're just kind of tired of seeing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
That's what it is.
And of course, they've got Taylor Swift and all the celebrities that come along with a good team. I think it's just they're just fatigued. It's Chiefs fatigue.
And I think
you know what it is. In addition to the Chiefs, I think we've seen this where you have you have the Patriots who were dominating in the championship every single year. Then you have now it's the Chiefs who are in the championship. So it seems like we always have that one team who's just either they're winning it or they're there. And I think, some NFL fans want to see parity. I mean, even the Eagles. I mean, within the last, 10 years or 5-10 years, they've been 3 times. So,
right.
We're seeing the same teams over and over. But I will say I really like this matchup. I want to see particularly how the Chiefs defense is going to, try to stop Jalen Hurts and then Saquon Barkley and kind of what they're going to put together. And then, being a quarterback, being an offensive guy, I always love to watch Andy Reid's offense. So I'm interested to see how they're going to match up against Philly's defense, which is fast and strong. Like I said, they have a gritty, just rugged team against more of a, I wouldn't say flamboyant, but they're more of like the cool kids right now. So it's going to be a fun matchup.
I think the way Philly addresses this is I think it's super aggressive, because I would just as soon have Mahomes running and then let him make the trick passes and all that kind of stuff. I'm coming at him. I don't want him comfortable.
Oh no, Coach.
I don't want him comfortable. I don't want him comfortable.
Coach.
Because here's the thing.
I think he plays better under pressure.
That's what I think.
He might. He might. But am I gonna let him sit back there and be comfortable?
I'm gonna spy him, and I'm gonna try to.
Russ, who are you gonna spy him with? Here's the catch with the spy, because usually you're spying. That's usually somebody who is not gonna make the tackle with him one-on-one. You don't have
Mahomes ain't that guy. Mahomes is not Lamar Jackson. A good linebacker is going to be able to tackle him one-on-one. And I'm saying I'm spying him with a linebacker. I'm telling my defensive line to be aggressive. That's who I would rotate in and out. And I'm playing I'm playing coverage. And I'm going to make you take a chance on a throw, and hopefully I can get a pick. Hopefully I can bait you into some picks. Because if I rush you, if I can't leave any receiver they got one-on-one, because he'll make the throw. And then if I let you run around too much without any direct pressure, that ain't gonna work neither.
So here, this is a football conversation now. You've got me into a football conversation now. Okay, so what you're telling me then is you're gonna zone him. You're gonna play zone.
I'm gonna mix it, but it's gonna be a lot of zone, and I'm gonna mix the zone. Yeah.
Now, to me, that's a problem. That's a problem, because you're going to have areas. There's going to be every zone has an area that you can throw into, and you can't get you can't get
prevent.
Yes, you might as well be in prevent.
Yeah,
but the thing is, you can't. But if I man you, then I got to account for Travis Kelce, and I got to account for those other tight ends.
I understand that.
Those are man beaters right there, and those receivers and the receivers that he has, they're not the best receivers, but they're really fast and they're aggressive. So I'm saying I'm going to tell my defensive backs I'm going to keep everything in front of me. My defensive line, you got to play your butt off now, and I got a linebacker, and I got to spy you.
That's who's got to play. The line has to play.
Right.
The line is the line is where this game is going to be won, and it's going to dictate what we can do in the secondary.
Yeah, because the thing is, if I can keep him in the pocket where you're not escaping, where you're not going laterally, if I'm staying in my defense line, I want to keep him, so I want to make him step up, and I got a linebacker in his face. And I want to bait him into running a couple times, and I can get some hits on him. I want to touch Mahomes. I want to touch him as much as I can in this game. It's going to be hard, but I got to get some hits on him.
Okay, this is going to sound terrible, but I say it all the time. That's a situation where that's a 15 that I'm giving up. Meaning, if he's running, that's a 15 I'm giving up. I'm going to take that shot. Not a super dirty shot, but he better get down really quick, because I'm going to try to make that contact, just so that he knows. Now, will that intimidate him? Maybe not. But still, I want to at least take that chance to get something on him, so at least he's thinking.
100%. And the thing is, that's why I'm saying I want to force him up the middle. Now, again, you're going to give up some stuff. You're not going to totally stop Patrick Mahomes. To me, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He's the best quarterback in the game currently. So you're not going to stop him in totality. But what I got to try to do is bait you into a few mistakes, and I got to try to get some pressure on you, and I got to try to get my hands and my shoulder pads on you. And I think that's the only way you stop me.
And I think on the other side of the ball, they just have to shut down Saquon Barkley. I mean, if they don't shut him down, they'll just eat the clock up.
Yeah. I mean,
he'll run the ball and just eat the clock.
What'd you say, Hollis?
I'm sorry.
I think on the other side, the same thing. I think you got to stop Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't stop Jalen Hurts. It's going to be let's see. I think I would give up Saquon Barkley, because if I can stop Jalen Hurts, then I'm gonna close some lanes for Saquon. You know what I'm saying? And if I can shake his confidence where I can make him timid to throw the ball down the field, then that offense is going to slow down.
So I'll say this, and I don't know if this can happen. If you take away the pass or you take away the run, and you force them into one or the other,
one-dimensional,
I think now you at least got a chance. But if you give them an opportunity to do both, you got no shot.
See, but I disagree. I think you got to shut down the run. And I think you got to shut down the run from Saquon Barkley, and you got to particularly shut the run down from Jalen Hurts. You cannot give Jalen Hurts no lanes, and you have to force him to, he has to know that he got to stand in the pocket and he got to deliver the ball.
He's not going to stay in the pocket. That's the thing. And I don't think that if they stop the run, I think if they stop Barkley, right? To me, I'm thinking the only way that they're going to stop Hurts is you're going I don't know if you can do both. You're going to have to, you're going to have to succumb to one of them. But the one that you go to can't beat you. You can't let that beat you. And I'm saying the quarterback is the least likely to beat me, I'm thinking.
No, he's not. And that's the thing. I think what happens is if you let if you let Jalen Hurts get those 10, 15, those long runs like he's been getting every playoff game, I think what it does, it creates lanes where now on them read options or even like the ISOs or the zone reads, now the defense has to account for They have to account for Jalen Hurts fakes. So once he's doing that and he's giving you, he's handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley and he's carrying out his space, the defense, you cannot dismiss that. You have to account for that. So it's going to take a linebacker out the lane and it gets Saquon Barkley better lanes to run in. But now if you totally shut down that run and you're not worried about Jalen Hurts running the ball, those linebackers can stay in and commit to Saquon Barkley. So I think you got to stop the run of Jalen Hurts.
All right, well, we'll see. Lisa, you got one more thing before we close it out?
I was just going to say, we really didn't make picks, and we can do that later on because we still have some time. But
okay.
I really feel like the team that wins the Super Bowl is going to be the one that doesn't turn the ball over. That's obvious.
Yeah.
And plays the best defense because these are offensive powerhouses, both teams.
That's a valid point there. You're going to have you're definitely going to have to play good defense.
Yep.
And I agree with you, whoever plays the best defense is probably going to win the game because both of these offenses can do any and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be a really good. I'm excited about this.
But I'll say this, and we're going to close it up. There's been so many Super Bowls that you can look at and it just looks like it can be just a great game and you just can't wait. You get everything lined out. You're sitting on the couch, all your food's around you.
All the snacks.
And next thing you know, you're 15, 20 minutes into the game and you're like, oh my gosh, this thing is already over. That's my fear is that, it just doesn't turn out to be as great a game as it looks like it should be. I'm afraid of that. But, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week, and hope you have a blessed weekend. And Hollis and Lisa, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All righty.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Visit frankwalkerlaw.com. Share your thoughts, ask questions, or suggest topics on our Facebook page. Just search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. And don't forget to like the page to join the conversation. Catch past episodes anytime at WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk. And tune in Thursday nights at 7 or Sunday evenings at 8 for Let's Talk with Carl Lee.
If you fall, dust it off and get back up on your feet. Anything could be a win, yup, even defeat. They say sugar bad for you, why is victory sweet? Couldn't play with big kids, I had to sit in the street and watch from a distance, but over time I grew. If I put in the work, in no time I'm due. Everything that I worked and prayed, I'm okay. If you ask me, how did I do it, I'm gon' say you gotta work. grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work. 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 You gotta work.